Hey friends, it's Danny. Welcome back to my kitchen today. On today's episode, we're actually not doing a budget-friendly recipe, as you can probably tell, but I do want to talk about ways that Matt and I are saving money now that prices are going up, mortgage interest rates are going up, they're skyrocketing actually here in Australia. So I want to talk about some of the ways that we are keeping our spending low, and different things that we're doing to save money to make sure that we can meet all of our financial obligations and still meet our financial goals, even as we're navigating these turbulent financial times, I guess. So I have my coffee, I have my list, so if you see me looking over there, it's because I am reading my notes off my laptop. I've been preparing this video for the past couple of weeks, and I'm sorry that I didn't release a video last week. I wasn't feeling very well, and I just didn't have anything prepared, if I'm completely honest. So thank you for bearing with me through that, I guess. Okay, so what I've done is, over the past few weeks, I've been writing down things that Matt and I have been doing to make sure that we can save as much money as possible. And what we do to save money. Now, a lot of these things we haven't implemented because of what's going on at the moment. It's stuff that we've done for a long time. So I guess let's just get into it. So the first thing that we do is we shop sales and clearance items. I try not to pay full price for anything. For the most part, what we do buy is on sale, it's on clearance, and we try to find places that have a very competitive price. So we do things like go through catalogs. Now, I'm going to admit Matt is better at that than I am. I'm kind of a little more impulsive, so I have to really step back and try and make myself go through the catalog and find the best price, but that's what we do. We find the best price through catalogs. I also tend to buy generic or home brand instead of buying the name brand for most things, because I've found that the home brand or the generic is just as good as the brand label. It just has different packaging or more plain packaging. So whenever I find something, I always try the generic, and then there are only a very few items that we use that are name brand, because that's going to be the superior product. I have also found, and I've got a few different places here in Melbourne that I go to keep my spending low. So there are 3 different kind of discount warehouses that I frequent often and do shopping at and stock up on things at. So they are Cheaper by Miles, and I'll put their websites and their locations down in the descriptions if you're in the area and you want to check them out. So there's Cheaper by Miles, and they have 3 different locations in Melbourne. We have Not Quite Right, who again have a few different locations, and then one that I've just started going to recently, but I've found has been really good, is the Food Factory sales, and they have 2 different locations, but finding these discount warehouses and going there and stocking up on things has been really beneficial, and we've saved a ton of money. You do have to check your prices, but I found that they've been significantly lower than the supermarkets or places like Costco. So they're places that I found really helpful. The other thing is I don't buy fruits and vegetables, or I very rarely buy fruits and vegetables from the big retailers like Coles and Woolworths. I've found that my local fruit and veg shop is much cheaper, and I'm talking like 50 to 70% cheaper. So when, for example, capsicum is on sale at $11.99 a kilo at Coles and Woolies, I can often get it for $3 or $4.99 or less at my local fruit and veg shop. So that's where I tend to go and buy my fruits and vegetables, and that's how we save money there. I also look for sales on meat and poultry, and often I will buy from the clearance section and stock up. So when I find a good price on meat and poultry, I just don't buy one or two, I will buy a lot. Or if it's on clearance, I will pretty much buy almost everything that they have, and then I will freeze it. So as I find good sales, I will buy everything, put it in the freezer, and then we have a variety of different meats to be able to choose from. So if chicken is on sale or on clearance one week, then I'll buy a whole lot of chicken, and then, you know, a few weeks later, if mincemeat is on sale or beef is on sale, I will stock up on that and put it in the freezer, and then we have 6 months to a year worth of food or meat and poultry in the freezer that we can go through, so that I don't have to buy when prices are high. I'm locking in those prices when prices are low. So that's what I tend to do. I have been really lucky. I have a Woolworths close to me that always has really good clearance on meat and poultry. So whenever I go there, I've just stocked up, and because we've moved, I had pretty much let my stockpile at the apartment diminish, and when I got here I was like, okay, I need to build up my stockpile again. So what I did was I just went to this Woolworths every weekend, and literally they had the best sales. So keep your eyes peeled. You might say, oh, I never find those sales, but keep your eyes open and look for or ask the store manager, where do you keep your clearance items, or where do you keep your clearance meat? And they can usually point you in the right direction. I've found that a lot of Coles and Woolies have a specific area where they'll go and dump all their clearance items, and you can go through there and see if there's anything that you want to buy. Now, usually with clearance meat, it's 1 or 2 days off the best before date. I've really never had a problem, because usually the supermarket will need to sell the item before it actually goes bad. So it's usually the sell by date that they put the item on clearance, and then you have a few days up your sleeve to be able to use it. Or in my case, I just throw everything into the freezer and use it when I need it. So that's what I do with meat. Like another note that I had that I hadn't thought about while I was filming is I've bought about $1,500 meat for $300, and different types of meat for $300, and my freezer is full. So you really can, those deals are still out there, you just need to look for them. And a lot of people say that clearance meat is no good for you, or clearance chicken is no good for you. It's completely fine. Like, honestly, I've never had a problem with it. So you can get really good deals if you're willing to buy the clearance. The other thing is that we inspect the unit pricing of different items, because sometimes buying the bigger product is not the best deal. So you want to look at your unit pricing both size-wise, so different sizes of the same product, and then across different brand labels of the same product, to see which is going to be the best value for money per 100 grams or per litre or per 100 mils, whatever it is. So you want to compare that to see which one is actually giving you the best bang for your buck. Cool, so took me 8 minutes to get through the first item. That's great, we're going to be here a while. The next one is make it from scratch. When you're buying convenience items, those are going to be more expensive because someone has done the preparation for you. What I like to do is do the preparation myself. So I buy the staple ingredients or the basic ingredients to make something, and then I will make it from scratch, and that's where I get the savings from. So I tend to not buy as many convenience foods so that I can make them myself from scratch. Yes, it takes longer. Yes, it takes more effort. Yes, it takes more organizations. But when you're looking at saving money, these are some of the things we just have to do in order to make those savings. Along with that, eating at home and making food at home and cooking dinner at home is one of the ways you can really save money. If you're getting takeout, going to restaurants, it is going to cost you a lot more, and you're going to be spending a lot more money. I mean, I can cook for Matt and myself for under $50 a week, and that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have about $125 a week in the food budget, or the food and household budget, to be able to stock up on things, because I'm actively trying to build a stockpile and a stockpile and a pantry, but I can feed us for almost nothing, especially because I'm taking, especially because I'm taking advantage of those sales. So cooking at home can really save you money. I know recently we got takeout, and that is something super rare, and we had takeout because we were celebrating meeting one of our financial goals, and we decided to celebrate with takeout because it was just a small financial goal that we'd met. And it cost us $40, and I'm like, I can make this better at home. So I've found that over time, I actually don't enjoy eating takeout as much because I can actually make it at home for cheaper, and it tastes better, and I know what's gone into it. So it's something that if you're having takeout all the time and you feel like it's going to be a bit much to move over to making food from scratch, yeah, there's that transition, but really you'll get to a point where it's like, I don't really need to have takeout every day or takeout every couple of days because I can make it better myself. At least that's what I've found. Next on the list is we will try and buy secondhand, get it for free, or borrow it if we can. I have found that we're such a consumerist society, and we will just throw out good things because we want to buy the latest and the greatest. And we save so much money by buying secondhand, going to the op shop and seeing if what we want can be bought for a fraction of the price. Now, I know that some op shops these days are not as cheap as they used to be, but for what I've needed, I've always found them to be cheaper, and been able to get things cheaper. So there's always that. If you can buy it secondhand, do that. You've got op shops, Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree. There's lots of different secondhand places that you can buy from these days. The other thing is, see if someone is giving it away for free. I've gotten so much free stuff from friends and family just because they know that I'll accept it, or there are some things that I'll accept. So my auntie gives me hand-me-down clothes. They're always in perfect condition. She keeps her clothes really, really nicely, and I know that I can go and pick through stuff that she doesn't want, and that's my wardrobe. So I very rarely buy clothes that are new because I'm fortunate enough that people will give me hand-me-down clothes because they know that I'll accept them. And then if there's stuff that I don't wear, I don't keep it. I just give it to the op shop and let it be a blessing to someone else. But at least I know that I can pick through her unwanted stuff before she sends them to the op shop, because there's a lot of good stuff that I've gotten and a lot of items that I wear all the time. So I'm so grateful for that. So if, tell people that you're looking for something. Tell people that you need something and you're looking to see if someone's giving it away or they're willing to sell it to you at a low cost. And the other one is borrow it. If you have a family member or a friend who has something that you need, but it's not something that you think you're going to use all the time, or it's just a one-off, see if you can borrow it from someone or hire it instead of buying the item at full price and then having it sit in your garage only to be donated or thrown out later. See if you can borrow it or hire it. I know that at the new house, Matt and I have some work to do on the concrete. We need to what's the word I'm looking for? We need to pressure wash the concrete because it's got a little bit of and it's dirty and it needs a bit of a refresh. And my parents actually have a pressure washer, so I'm just going to borrow theirs. I don't think I'm going to need a pressure washer for doing a lot of things moving forward, so I'm just going to borrow it. And if I do find that it's something that we use all the time, then I might consider buying one at a later stage. But for right now, I'm just going to borrow it. Reducing waste. So we can be very wasteful. So there are a lot of things that you can actually reuse or recycle. I find that I reuse plastic baggies, the little Ziploc bags. I find that as long as it hasn't had poultry or meat in there, I will wash them and reuse them. There's no reason not to. If you've had biscuits in there or something that is easy to wash out, and is not going to kind of stain the plastic, or you're not going to think there's going to be bugs or anything in there, then I just wash them and reuse them. I just wash them with hot soapy water, let them dry completely, and then put them back into a little folder that I have that has all of my used clean plastic baggies in there, and I just reuse them. And then I kind of end of life them with meat and poultry, because I know that's when they're going to get thrown out. But if they've just had biscuits in there, I just keep using them. Or yeah, biscuits, whatever else I put in there that isn't meat or poultry. If it's not broken, why fix it? I mean, sometimes we buy stuff just because we want to update it, but the old item isn't, there's nothing wrong with it, and we could probably keep it for a little while longer. So at the moment, maybe keep stuff that you normally would have replaced, just to save you that money, especially now. Like, I mean, we just moved into a new house. I would love to have a new kitchen. I would absolutely love to have a new kitchen, but it's not on the cards at the moment, and we have other things that we need to do, and mortgage rates are increasing and things like that. So really, yes, could I go out and take out a loan to redo the kitchen? Absolutely. Do I want to do that? Am I going to do that? Absolutely not. So what I have done is made little minor updates to the kitchen, like changing the handles on the doors. I'm going to do a little bit of work painting, because I already have the paint, so that I can paint the kitchen to give it a little bit of a refresh. But as far as ripping out the kitchen and remodeling at the moment, that's just not going to happen. So I'm keeping it clean, I'm keeping it tidy, I'm giving it a little bit of a refresh with low cost updates, but definitely not going to fix something that isn't broken. Then we have eat your leftovers, guys. We eat leftovers. We're a family who eats leftovers because I absolutely hate wasting food and throwing it in the garbage. So there's two things that we kind of do when it comes to eating leftovers. We either eat the leftovers the way they are. We don't mind them. Like I said, we're okay with eating leftovers. And the other one is reinventing them. So if I have leftover chicken, then I might make a chicken pot pie, or I might make chicken and corn soup or something else out of the leftovers that I have. But yeah, eat your leftovers. Don't let them go to waste, because you've paid for that food. You've paid to make that food. Why do you want it to go into the bin? And then that means you can spend less money on food if you're prepared to eat your leftovers. The other one, the next one on my list, is a little bit controversial, but eat smaller portions. We tend to eat portions that are way too big, and that means you're paying more for food, because you have to buy more food to have those bigger portions. So I've found that eating smaller portions not only is better for us health-wise, but also it cuts down on the amount of food that you need to buy to be able to feed yourself. So that's what we've done. We've downsized on our portions. I've lost in the last year, just by counting calories and eating smaller portions, 24 kilos, which I'm forever grateful for, because I feel so much better. But I've also noticed how much less food I need to buy in order to feed us. So that has been a great advantage of eating smaller portions. Then we have petrol prices. Petrol is now well over $2 a litre. So we're really mindful about where we're driving and what we're doing, and the places we go, because it is expensive, and we don't want to be driving all over creation and spending money on petrol that we could be spending on other things. So some of the things we do is we don't drive to places that we don't need to go. We don't go on Sunday drives anymore, because it's just too expensive. We don't have the money to spend on petrol, or we don't have that much money to spend on petrol. So we just don't go on Sunday drives. We have just moved up the street from a walking trail. So we will walk on the weekends. We'll go and enjoy the trail. the walking trails, see other people, meet other people, but we're doing that with our feet. It's good for our health again, to be able to go walking, especially when the weather is nice and we're not in our cars driving around. So I'm lucky, I work from home, so that means I don't use my car that much. Matt doesn't work from home, but he only drives to and from work. He doesn't drive to other places. So that's a way that we save money as well. We don't drive anywhere. We go to work, he drives to work. I get to stay home, thankfully, so I don't have to drive anywhere. And we go and see friends and family. We're lucky, they do live close to us, so that's a way that we save money because we don't have to drive very far. And also what I've done when it comes to running errands is that I will try and do it as close to home as possible, and I also map out my route to make sure I'm driving the most efficient route possible to do all of the things that I need. Now, I'm fairly lucky. I live in an area that has lots of amenities close to it, and I'm only a 1 minute walk from an Aldi, which is great. But that's when I need to go to other places, I will map out the route that's most efficient so that I'm maximizing one, time, and two, the amount of petrol that I'm using, just because I don't want to be paying over $2 a litre and then wasting that. So I think at the moment, a full tank of petrol for me is about $70, and that lasts me at least a fortnight, if not more. But as I said, I'm not driving to work, so it's going to cost more if you do need to drive to work. But then there are other things that you could do maybe to reduce the amount of petrol, like carpool with someone else and then split the petrol cost, or take public transport. Thinking outside the box of things you can do to save money. Yes, it may not be as convenient, but you do what you have to do, I guess. Next, we have budgeting and giving yourself financial goals. One of the things that I notice for me personally is that if I don't have a budget and I don't have financial goals, my money kind of goes all over the place. So especially at times like this, having a written budget, seeing what is coming in and what is going out has been really important to us. I mean, I've budgeted for as long as I can remember, so it's something that I find is, I just do it instinctively now because I've done it for so long and I need that kind of structure. But when you budget, you see what's coming in, you see what's going out, and also having financial goals. So if you have financial goals that you're trying to meet and you have those written down and you have a plan and you're putting money towards those things, you often want to make sacrifices to see progress. And that's what we've been doing to make sure that we can meet our financial obligations, pay our bills, pay our mortgage, but also meet those extra financial goals that we want to meet, that maybe if we didn't have that kind of written plan, we would probably just spend on stuff that we don't really need. So yeah, there's that. I recommend having some type of financial goals and of course a budget. We have a stockpile. So I have a stockpile, as I was saying before, of meat in the freezer, but we also have our pantry stockpile. We also have emergency funds to make sure that if we had an SHTF situation, that Matt and I would be okay at least for a few months. So having a stockpile of food, having a stockpile of household items, and also having a stockpile of a little bit of money means that you can weather the storms a little bit more easily than if you didn't. So if for whatever reason one of us lost our jobs, or there was a climate emergency or something like that, I don't know, I'm just, any type of emergency that may stop you from leaving the house or being able to go out of the house, we have kind of planned for with stockpiling. So I'm building up to a 1 year food supply so that Matt and I would have a year's worth of food stocked up so that we wouldn't have to go to the supermarket. So I've been stockpiling on all of the staples like flour and rice and beans and things like that so that we wouldn't have to go out if we didn't need to, and we wouldn't have to buy food, so that we can put the money that we do have towards other things. But also having an emergency fund, having 3 to 6 months of expenses put away in a bank account, so that if you do lose your job or you do have some other type of financial emergency, you're not having to reach for the credit card, or you're not having to reach to an overdraft or a loan of some type. You have the money already to be able to at least weather the storm for a few months. So that's what I have to say about stockpiling and having a stockpile. My next thing that I do is preparing freezer meals. I often spend some time on the weekend preparing freezer meals, so that on nights when I don't want to cook, or I'm busy, or I'm tired, or I'm sick, I'm not reaching for takeaway. I'm not reaching for convenience. I'm not going out to a restaurant to eat. I can just grab it out of my freezer and put it into the crock pot, put it into the slow cooker, put it into the oven, and we have a delicious dinner that I haven't had to work for. So I'm doing the preparation ahead of time, I guess. And sometimes me making freezer meals is that I will prepare a meal, but I'll double or triple the batch, so that we have a meal for tonight, and then I can put the rest in the freezer for other times. And then other times it'll be that I'm specifically setting aside time to make freezer meals. So that's been a great way that we've been able to save money, because I can buy the ingredients low, especially if I already have them in the freezer. So sometimes I might pull out like 2 kilos of chicken and make some type of chicken dish, or I might pull out 2 kilos of minced beef and make spaghetti bolognese sauce, or chili con carne, and then cook them all up, cook them into batches, and then put those into the freezer. I have a whole lot of chicken legs at the moment that need to be dealt with, so I'm thinking I'm going to make something like chicken chasseur, or something else with chicken thighs that I can cook in one big batch, and then freeze that as a complete meal for other nights. So that's what I'm doing. That's a huge tip, and it's been a huge time saver and a huge money saver for us to have those freezer meals, just from a convenience point of view. And I've made them, I know what's in them, I can portion them out in portions that work for Matt and I. So that's what we've been doing. Then we have gift cards and redeeming points. So when Matt and I want a treat, I usually go and have a look to see if I've got any gift cards that I've been gifted for Christmas or birthdays, or if I've got points like Flybuys points and everyday rewards points, can I cash those out so that we can have a treat, but we're not actually paying for it out of pocket. And at the moment, I have quite a few gift cards that I've either been given as a work incentive or I got for Christmas, that we can put towards our next treat. So we have 2 treats coming up. One, because we just met another financial goal, and I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, we met another financial goal, so we have another takeout coming up. And also when we meet our next financial goal, which is topping up our emergency fund, then we have some gift cards and some points that I can redeem to actually fund those treats. So I'm not paying for anything out of pocket. It's all coming from rewards, which is nice, because that means we can go and enjoy ourselves. And I think our next financial goal, that one is a overnight stay at a nice hotel or something like that. So I have some gift cards that I can redeem for a 1 or 2 nights a stay in the city, which is nice, which is going to be lovely, because I haven't had a holiday or a break in a long time. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, next we have grow your own. So if you can, growing our own fruits and vegetables and herbs. I know that not everyone has the space, so we do the best we can. When I was at the apartment, I kind of tried to grow my own herbs, and it was kind of like it's too small, we don't have enough space, I can't really do it. But now that we've moved into this house, we actually have a backyard that has a nice little allotment for gardening. So over the next couple of months, Matt and I will probably try and get the ground dug out and prepared for growing fruits and vegetables for next year. So things like tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that. I'm not a gardener, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a gardener. I have no idea what I'm doing in the garden. I don't know when things come into season, but I'm willing to learn, and that's another thing. Be willing to learn. I'm willing to learn if growing our own fruits and vegetables is going to save us money, and that we don't have to spend a fortune on those when we can just go out and plant them and get what's in season from our yard. So hopefully that works out well. I'm not going to say that it will because we haven't tried it yet. And like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing in the garden, so we'll see how that goes. But I do have 2 trees, and Matt and I actually bought my grandparents' house. So when my grandparents first got here, they planted a persimmon tree and a fig tree, and they are still going well. So I'm really looking forward to summer when we have some figs. I think it's summer, I guess. When the figs grow, and I'm really looking forward to making things like fig jam and chutney. Like there's a fig and balsamic chutney that I really want to try, so I'm looking forward to that once we get some more figs. And then with persimmons, then I guess I can make jam with those over in, I think it's April, May, that they kind of come into season. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about being able to grow a garden. My grandparents certainly did a good job of that. They always used to have lots of stuff in their garden. So we'll see how we go. At the moment, the only thing that I have growing is parsley, and that's been great because I don't have to buy it, and there's a lot of it. So I have been able to dehydrate some, so I have it when we don't have too much parsley. So that's another thing that I'm looking forward to, I guess, now that I'm kind of just thinking about it and having a conversation with you, is that there are lots of different things that I can do with the stuff that we grow, like dehydrate it, freeze it, can it. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that and doing all of the things to be able to save money on fruits and vegetables. If you can't grow your own, and this is something that I've been doing for years because I haven't grown my own, is shop the seasons. So I tend to buy what's in season and what's cheap as opposed to what I want to eat. So I wouldn't buy watermelon in the middle of winter, or things that aren't in season, because you end up paying more for them, especially if they have to be flown in from overseas or interstate. They're usually at a higher cost than when they are in season and they're plentiful. They also taste better, in my opinion, too, when they are in season. So that's what I have been doing for the past couple of years, or ever since I moved out on my own, is buying in season and what's affordable. Then we have be creative with what you do have. See what you can make do with. Like, I have wanted stuff, and I want my house to be a certain way, or I want a certain thing to be a certain way. Yeah, that's very explanatory, Danny. I want things to be a certain way, but sometimes you just have to make do with what you have because you don't have the money to do what you really want to do. And I guess what we're doing is building up to what we do want, and just having what we have at the moment and sacrificing so that we can get to that ultimate goal. But yeah, sometimes you just have to make do. You just have to make do with what you have, and also see if you can be creative with what you have to get what you need, as opposed to going out and buying it. So that's something that I really have to, and I really struggle with, because sometimes I can be a little bit impulsive and I will just go and buy what I need. But I really have to think about using what we have so that we can save money for the future instead of having what I want right now, which is not really pushing us towards that end goal. Paying off your debt. When you have little or no debt, you really can weather the storm a lot more easily than when you have a lot of debt or you're living paycheck to paycheck, which is why I tell people pay off your debt, even if it is $5 a week extra on your loans, because every cent counts to getting that debt paid off so that you can be debt free. And when you're debt free, you can put the money that you were paying towards your loans towards building up your savings account or doing the things that you want to do that having debt has weighed you down from. So I am not a fan of having debt. I know that some people say that there are good debt and bad debt. I don't want to be in debt to anyone. So I am paying off my mortgage, and thankfully that's the only debt that I have, or that we have, is our mortgage. But I've also had a student loan. And that was a fairly hefty student loan as well. And I worked hard for 2 years and worked multiple different jobs to be able to get that paid off. So not having that has allowed us to buy this house. If I had had that debt still on my back, I wouldn't have been able to afford to buy this. So that's why I'm saying pay off your debt, because it does make life a lot easier. And if you come into a storm, then not having to owe someone money or not having to owe someone a lot of money can help you get through that a little bit more easily. So I am now, once we tackle some of our other financial goals that we're trying to meet, because they're more of emergency ones, they're more sinking funds, emergency funds, we will be going full steam ahead with paying off the mortgage so that we don't have to have that any longer than we need to. Which then nicely segues into have an emergency fund. Put money away for hard times. I've always had an emergency fund. When I first bought the apartment, I put away money for an emergency fund. We had gone to the States on holidays and I was reading Dave Ramsey's book, and that's what inspired me to put an emergency fund together. So that's what I did, and I am so glad that I did, because I have always felt safer having that money put away for an emergency if I've ever needed to use it. Now, thankfully, I have not had a huge emergency that's completely blown my entire emergency fund, but I have had little things prop up where I wasn't expecting them, and it wasn't something that was foreseeable. So having that money there allowed me to weather those storms, and it turned a crisis, or what could have been a crisis, into a little, it was a blip on the radar. It was a complete inconvenience, but it was fine because the money was there, and then I just put it back as I could to rebuild that emergency fund. So have an emergency fund. I always say it's 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, but at the end of the day, you do you and put away as much money as you think you need for any emergencies that come your way. Oh. Then I have don't window shop. And I'm sorry, these are kind of out of order. I just listed them and I went, I'm not putting them into any sort of order. I'm just going to go with what I've got. Don't window shop. I don't go and browse. What am I calling it? I'm going to say the mall, but that's not the right word. That's not what we use in Australia. The shopping centre. I don't go browse window shop at the shopping centre. I don't go and walk and just have a look at what's out there, because I know me, and if I find something, I will buy it, and I may not necessarily have needed it. Sometimes you see something and you're like, oh cool, I want to take that home with me, but you don't really need it. Or once you get it home, you're like, okay, I bought it, but what am I going to do with it? So that's why I don't go window shopping. And I've also learned, one of the things that I've learned over the years is sometimes you can see something and appreciate it in a shop, but not have to take it home with you. So that's another thing that I've kind of learned. I am a natural spender, so for me, I've been kind of flexing the muscle, or using my muscle for saying no to things. So that's one of the things, is like, yep, I like it, I appreciate it, it's beautiful, but I'm not going to take it home with me because I don't actually need it, or seriously want it. Then we prioritize our needs over our wants. So paying our bills and paying our living expenses is really important to us, to me especially. And the reason I say that is because I'm the one sitting here talking to you right now. But paying our living expenses, making sure we can pay our mortgage, we can pay our bills above everything else, is important to us. So I don't put my wants over my needs. So I don't say I'm going to not pay my bills and go on a holiday, or I'm not going to pay my bills and get a massage. I definitely always prioritize my bills, my living expenses, and make sure they are all met and they are all paid before I go off and think about other things that I want. And what I've noticed is over the last couple of years, my wants aren't really that much. I don't want stuff as much as I want the peace of mind that I'm not going to have my utilities turned off or my house foreclosed on, in so much that I can help it because I'm prioritizing those things over something else. So that's what is important to me. Yeah, so another thing that I was going to mention is I really want to do some stuff to this house, and I've put myself on a spending freeze because I've been at Bunnings a little bit too much. And even though I haven't spent a lot of money, because a lot of the work that I'm doing myself and I know how to do, I'm kind of putting myself on a spending freeze because I'm snowballing a little bit in my wants and what I want to do, as opposed to, do I really need to do this, or can we just do this another way, or just wait? So I'm putting myself in a spending freeze for the next 6 months, so I'm not buying anything that we don't need. And that way we can continue to meet our financial goals without me blowing everything at Bunnings or somewhere else, because I don't want to live with the house the way it is for a little bit longer, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with our house. It's clean, it's tidy. It is not, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing broken. There's nothing that urgently needs to be fixed. Everything is in fairly good condition. It's just about modernizing it and making it a little bit more modern. So that's why the spending freeze is happening. But obviously if something does break, we're going to fix it, because I don't want things to get worse or deteriorate to a point where we have to spend a lot of money to get it fixed. Then we have a second job or a side hustle. So both Matt and I have multiple jobs. So we can have a little bit more money come in than if we were just working one job. And that means we can make these financial obligations a little bit faster. Yes, would it be nice to just have one job and have more time up your sleeve? Yes, it would, but also we are banking on the fact that if we put in the hard work now and we work second jobs and we have multiple streams of income, then it'll be easier when we're a little bit older and maybe don't have the energy or the will or the ability to be able to do that. So we're working pretty hard at the moment to meet our financial goals and make sure that we have savings. So yeah, that's what we're doing in terms of jobs. I don't mind working 2 jobs. I don't mind having multiple streams of income. Yeah. Next, I have stopped subscription services that you don't use. This was relevant to me recently because I have found I had an Audible subscription thinking that I would read more, or at least listen to audiobooks more, and that just hasn't happened. So I thought, what's the point of keeping this and paying money every month to a service that I'm not using? So I kind of used up the credits that I had accumulated so that I still can listen to books when I want to, but I'm not going to continue the subscription that I'm not using. And I mean, I'm sure there's lots of subscriptions that maybe you're subscribed to that you're not really using, and you could probably either suspend or cancel. That will save you a little bit more money. So there's that. I would audit those and see what you're not using and then get rid of them. Because even though, yes, some of these subscription services are like $5 a month or $10 a month or $20 a month, all of that adds up, and you could possibly be putting that money somewhere else. For me personally, I dye my own hair. I can't remember the last time that I went to a hair salon. My hair's long. I kind of just keep growing it long, but I will get my mum to dye my hair, and she is in no way a hairdresser, but she has learned over the years how to do a fairly good job at dyeing hair. So I buy the box color and I get her to do it, and it works. I actually was at Woolworths the other day, and the color that I like, which is what I have at the moment, the box was on sale for $3.60 a box, so I cleared them out. I bought every box they have so that I could get it for $3.60 and not over $10. So that's what I usually do. If I find something on sale that is good value and that I use all the time, I will buy it. I will stock up on it so I can make that saving. Then we have bring snacks when you go out. So sometimes when I'm out, I'm hungry, and that can kind of impulse you into buying stuff that you don't need or food that you don't need. So I tend to throw a muesli bar or a little snack that I have on hand into my bag. So when I'm feeling a little bit of hunger, I eat those, so I'm not tempted to go and buy lunch or buy other stuff at the supermarket whilst I'm there. So that's a little trick that I just have. So I keep a muesli bar or something in the bag so that I can eat that. Yeah, that's a nice easy one. Use coupon codes if you can. We don't, at least in my experience, we don't have great coupon codes in Australia. It's nothing like what they do in the US. But if there are coupon codes that you can use them. I mean, I have the Honey browser extension that finds coupon codes for any type of online shopping that I do. I don't do a ton of it, but it has helped me save a little bit of money by using that browser extension when I'm shopping online. So there's always that. But I found coupon code not a great thing in Australia. It's nothing like what they have in the US. So if you can use coupon codes on stuff that you're already going to buy and you've got them, use them. When we get our tax refunds, I know that it's tax time at the moment here in Australia, and a lot of people I've heard are going to be using their tax returns to buy stuff that they want. I never do that and haven't done that for the longest time. Well, I don't want to say never, because I have done it in the past, so that would be a lie. But as long as I can remember, I have not used my tax return to buy stuff that I want, like a TV or whatever else you want to buy. I have always put that towards my financial goals to prop them up, as opposed to buying something that is going to depreciate. Now, that's completely up to you what you want to do with your tax return. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's what I do. I don't put my tax return towards my wants. I put it towards my needs and meeting those financial goals. And because meeting my financial goals is important to me, because at the end of the day it helps my family, that's what I do. Then we have doing DIY. So I kind of alluded to this before, that I've been at Bunnings and I've been buying stuff for the house, but a lot of the stuff I've been doing myself. Like, I've been patching holes in walls, I have been painting, I have been fixing things, and I kind of learn those skills by YouTube, asking people, watching other people do them, and then being able to replicate it myself. So, you know, I can ask an expert at Bunnings, or I can ask my dad, or I can watch a YouTube video on it to try and find the best way to fix something or repair something, so that I can do it myself instead of having to call a contractor to do it. And yes, there's a learning curve, and sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly, but I've found the more that I do things, the better I get at it, and obviously with all things, the more you practice, the better you get. And I've just been able to do it myself. So regrouting tiles, fixing holes in walls. When we first got here, 2 days after we got here, I found that the tiles were peeling off the wall in the shower. So instead of, after I had my freak out, now I will admit that I had a freak out, a complete and utter meltdown, and it's possibly because I was tired, but I had a complete meltdown about tiles falling off the walls, and they were coming off in one big sheet. So once I had calmed down, I thought about it logically, and I took all the tiles off the wall. Now, as neatly as I could, because I didn't want to replace the tiles, because all of my house, kitchen, bathroom, laundry, all have the same style of tile. So I wanted to keep the tiles and keep that consistency across the entire house. So I took them all off. I removed any grout or glue, and sanded down the sides of the tiles, cleaned them all up really, really nicely, and then I bought tile glue and grout and put them all back on the walls so that everything was stuck properly. The glue that was there for the last 50 years had failed, so that's why they were peeling off the wall. So instead of waiting for them to fall down and break, I took them all off and put them all back in a way that's probably going to last another 10, 15 years, or until we decide that we have the money to modernize the place. So there's little things like that that you can do yourself, and you can just learn things off watching people on YouTube, or asking experts how to do it or how they recommend you do it. All right, we have come to the last tip that I have. Make a shopping list. I find that when I go into a store with a shopping list, and I decide, now it's a choice, decide to stick to my shopping list, I find that I save more money than when I go into a when I go into a supermarket or into a shop and I'm just throwing things into the cart based on what I think I have at home or what I think I need. It also helps you to stop from buying things that you already have in duplicate or triplicate, if you're not trying to stockpile or buy more of those. Having said that, when I have a shopping list, if I find something that's an absolutely crazy good deal, I will get it. So I will have a shopping list, and if I get to the supermarket and I find that chicken is on sale for half price, or there's clearance on meat, I will buy that, and I set aside a certain portion of my weekly budget to be able to do that. So, you know, if it costs me $50 a week or less, I think it's $50 a week, it could even be less than that. $50 a week for me to buy what we need in order to feed ourselves that week, that's fresh fruit and vegetables and things like that, then the rest of it I can use to buy those really super good deals so that I'm not spending more money later on. So yeah, so I lock in the price today for those items, but have a shopping list, because if I go in with a shopping list, I'm not as tempted to impulse buy on things that are just sitting on the shelf looking at me saying, can I get in your shopping cart? So, okay. When I asked Matt this question, I said to Matt, can you give me your #1 money saving tip? And of course, without hesitation, he turned around and said, don't spend it. So sometimes that is really good advice. If you don't need to spend money, don't. Because sometimes the saving of money is in the not spending it. Okay, so let me know in the comments what your favorite money saving tip is. I know we went through quite a few of them today. Do you use any of those? Do you have something else that is a money saving tip that you use regularly? I'd love to hear it. I'm always looking for more ways to save money and get more for my money. So if you have them, leave them down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. Thank you so much for waiting until the end or staying until the end. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified about any of the new videos that I make. I try and make one a week. either a cooking video or a video like this. I've been doing more cooking videos of late, but I like this video. It was nice to have a chat with you. And share this video. So if there's anyone else that you know who is looking to save money and wants some tips and tricks about how to do that from someone who always wants to save money, as we all do, I think, share this video with them. So thank you so much again. I will see you next time for the next video, and I hope you have a good week. See ya.